said, let's know the result of this poll. Are you aware of the FCFTA? Wow. Okay, yeah, so there's an awareness, but they don't fully understand it. You're in the right place. And there's a 25% of us that says that we understand it well. Amazing. We have experts in the room. I'm glad that none of us have said, I mean, all of us here have heard something about the AfCFTA and that specifically the Digital Trade Protocol. That's exciting. So someone is saying that I've heard of it. You know, none of us is saying that. It means that everybody has an idea. Is that, or the last one say, this is my first time hearing about. That's also a good one. Yes, that's where my mind has to go to. That's also a good one. 33% of us. So it's above the understand it well, which is something that you get to appreciate for today's conversation. So please stay ready and be excited, because I am excited. The gentleman I'm going to call right now, who's going to give us the keynotes for today's conversation, he's a man that I've known for a very long time now, and he's a brainy guy, very, very brainy. He leads or serves as a team lead for the African Startup and SMEs in Export and Trade Secretariat. So it's called Assets, right? And he's an AfCFTA SME and Trade Advisor. He's been working in this space for as long as since I've known him for almost 6 years or 7 years now. That's all he has been doing. You know, he's been talking about this for a very, very long time. He has supported a number of enterprises, 100 plus, through challenges worldwide and assets. He does more of policy dialogues, industrial tours, trade missions across Africa. He has collaborated with the World Bank, worked with the EXIM Academy, the UNDP International Trade Center, and then also the Action University on initiative promoting sustainable businesses and youth empowerment, trade-led development on the continent. We have the right person to set the tone and get us to be in the place of getting more curious and getting a place of understanding. Help me welcome Peter Edem Adeto, who would be our keynote speaker for the day. Peter, over to you.
Thank you, Andy. That was a very kind introduction of me. And good morning, afternoon, and evening to every one of us. Wherever you're joining us, we're excited to have you this day on this very auspicious occasion. First and foremost, let me use the opportunity to thank the team for making this possible. I think you deserve a round of applause for bringing this to the doorsteps of every African out there. And we are excited to always be part of this journey. I hope I'm audible enough, if that's okay. I just want to.
Yeah, super, super audible. I'm putting some adjectives there so that you get the confidence to flow. Very audible.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you so much for the confirmation as well.
Awesome.
So the poll has done a good job to give us a synopsis of what the knowledge on the digital trade is. And I've seen that a number of us have shared that we know it well. Some are saying this is their first time, and some are also saying they've heard of it, but they don't really know much about it. So you're all welcome to this forum. I hope that it will be interactive, and then we'd all get to learn and share ideas on what to do next. So I'd like to begin. So we'll do a historical background. We'll do the context of international inter-Africa trade. We'll do an overview of the AfCFTA. Then we'll do a deep dive into the protocols of the AfCFTA, and particularly the protocol on digital trade. Then we'll look at how to trade under the AfCFTA, and then what would be action points that we will be taking from today's forum. Okay, so a little bit of statistics here. So 14 billion annually is lost due to tariff and non-tariff barriers, which also includes inefficient customs procedures and border delays. on the African continent. Also, Africa's intra-regional trade potential remains underutilized, costing the continent an estimated 50 billion annually in missed economic opportunities. And then 60% of unemployed are young people in Africa. So these are a lot of figures and numbers that I've shared with you. But let's go further. What do you see on the screen? Any takers for us? What do you see on the screen?
I see Europe,
Europe.
intra-Europe trade. I see intra-Asia trade and intra-Africa trade.
Great. So these are figures representing the percentage when it comes to intra-regional trade on various in various parts of the world. What we can see over here is that Africa is doing 180%. Is it 18 or 180?
18%.
18%.
Very low.
Very, very low. And North America 50, Europe 69, Asia 52. So this represents, this goes to show us that Africa trades more with the world than amongst itself. So one will ask, I want people to give me suggestions on what they think has resulted to this low figure when it comes to intra-regional trade in Africa. Just two people. Okay, Tiaki Bernard.
So Peter, is it possibly because of our infrastructure, you know, and also possibly because of you know, the difficulty people have at borders as well, you know what I mean, and the tariffs and everything. So that's sort of always my view on it.
Excellent view. Excellent view. Very excellent view. Yes. So definitely we have tariff barriers, and then definitely infrastructure, undeveloped infrastructure also becomes an impediment to trade. Edgar, I'll take Edgar.
I can also just share, Peter, it's about also the different policies that by different regional trade blocks. We have the ECOWAS, the ESC, the SADC. The policies that they place also they hinder the intergenerational trade. And the policies and politics.
Policies and politics. I like that. Thank you, Edgar, for that. Yes. Excellent. So fragmented policy regime in terms of trade also puts a hindrance or a barrier on the free flow of trade on the continent. One thing you would come to know is that in Europe, we have a harmonization of customs, harmonization of statutes, harmonization of standards. So at the end of the day, if you produce anything in one part of Europe, if you produce anything in Germany, for instance, it is accepted in Switzerland and Sweden because they have all accustomed themselves to one harmonized customs, one harmonized standards. And so it is accepted. Unlike Africa, every regional trade bloc has its own standards and customs, and every country has its own policies, and as Edgar will say, politics. So you put that together, that becomes a huge impediment to the free flow of trade. So just take you through a few. So thank you for your contribution. So historical background, local legacy. So we've always, that colonial legacy has been created from the slave trade, transatlantic slave trade. And so that pathway is there. We've always known how to send goods across to the West and then not necessarily to our neighbors on the continent. That's how come Ghana, for instance, has been surrounded by French-speaking countries, but it's not a French-speaking country. It's because there's not that integration. Trade barriers and tariffs definitely plays a role. Lack of export diversification, and then definitely lack of infrastructure, logistics, and then finance. So our infrastructure is not well developed to facilitate trade across the continent as compared to trade from the continent. And one thing you also notice is that it sometimes, if you juxtapose the cost that is the cost associated with exporting or trading from within the continent and outside the continent, you would realize that sometimes it costs more to trade within the continent than to trade with our partners across outside of the continent. I think I was talking about this. So there are two types of trade barriers, just for us to understand. There's the tariff barriers and then there's the non-tariff barriers. The tariff barriers are the monetary ones that are associated with export and import processes. So the export tariff, import tariff, transit tariff. So these can become impediments to people looking forward to engaging in intra-African trade. Then we have the non-tariff barriers. So they are not monetary. However, they still pose an impediment to traders. And so you have the quotas, local contents, products and testing, and all of that. How many of you are aware that Nigeria has a ban on the importation of rice? No Nigerian is in the room. Yes, so Nigeria has, so in an attempt to protect local industries, local content, one of the things Nigeria has done is to ban the importation of rice, and they eat their local rice. It helps grow the local economy. However, for businesses that are looking forward to expanding the tentacles of their business in terms of rice production, would not be able to have access to the Nigerian markets. So what is the AfCFTA? Most of you have shared that you know about it or you've heard about it. One of the key things for us to understand is that the goal of the AfCFTA is to create one single African market, right? But before this, we can say the African market was segmented into 55 different markets, looking at the countries on the continent. But now, due to the implementation of the AfCFTA, the expected or projected outcome is to have one single African market, whereby those from the northern part of Africa have access to all other parts of Africa. Raido, you have a question?
Yes, thank you for that insights. I think I'm on the right group and the right channel here because I share the same vision as you, and your insights are quite aligned with mine. I think that, you know, Revolut, if you look at Revolut, the bank that scaled to 25 million very quickly, it was because they have the euro, and the euro covers a lot of countries, where Africa has 54 different regulations and different currencies. Yeah. And I think the common denominator for us to create one African market would be the USDT. Looking at not just at fiat, because I have a solution which has, and you can put an escrow in your wallet for fiat, 35 currencies, but also with blockchain technology and digital currency and the digital ledger. It's just about, you know, the ecosystem and the regulations. But I think that is going to open up the culture of one African market and cross-border activity.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for what you're doing. I think I'll get in touch with you so I can expand this conversation beyond this place.
Okay.
So definitely currency has a role to play. If you've seen how Europe has performed, it's also due to the euro. So what has been the vision? So I'm just taking you back to 1963 when the AU was formed. Dr. Kwame Nkrumah's vision for African unity and economic development was hinged on three thematic areas: one single African market, one single African currency, and then one single African central bank. At the moment, we can only say we can only talk about the AfCFTA. So 60 plus years on, we only have one of them coming into fruition. The other two are still under development. I don't know whether we would be able to get one single African currency, but that's a conversation for our political leaders and then the African Union Commission. West Africa tried to do the ECO, but it never materialized. We're waiting for a day whereby, you know, even within the regional bloc, we can have different, we can have one currency to operate at the, regional level. Yeah, so one single African currency, one single African central bank. Okay, so what are the projected benefits of the AfCFTA? So market access, reduction of poverty. It is projected to lift 30 million people out of extreme poverty and 68 million people out of moderate poverty. Then we're looking at savings. So one of the characteristics of the AfCFTA is the removal of tariff and non-tariff barriers. So this leads to organizations and businesses and SMEs having the ability to save. So monies that they could have paid, that monies that would have gone into payment of tariffs will now be reimbursed or invested into their business process. Then we have the export potential. So a huge export potential is given for African business, especially within the manufacturing side, meaning that you have 54 different markets that you can have access to with your products and your services. So key drivers of the AfCFTA: women, youth, SMEs. SMEs provide 8% of employment in the sub-Saharan region. Women contribute 6% of the GDP. And then by 2030, young Africans are expected to constitute 42% of global youth population. So that is a huge one, that a huge constituency that we need to really pay attention to. Yes. Yes, we've been talking about. Yeah. How many minutes do I have more?
Actually, we are far ahead of time. However, here's what I'm thinking, that with the preamble that you've said, I mean, this is very, very informative, and it's pains me that I'm stepping in now. But here's what I'm thinking, because we'll be coming into the panel discussion, perhaps we can give a bit of room there so that you can delve deeper into the protocols, right? Of course, there's currently that general setting, and of course, the sentiments that we are receiving from our audience then suggest that we have a certain specifics that we would delve deeper into, just to bring that understanding. So I don't know if we can wrap up nicely with the AfCFTA at the more the big picture level, and then we will channel the rest of the conversation into the panel discussion.
Also, quick reminder: how many minutes do I have so that I can?
2 minutes.
All right.
2 minutes. Yes.
Okay. So this is the roadmap of the AfCFTA. So since the discussion or the vision was back, it took us till we got to 2012. And that was only when the decision was made to pursue one single African market. So the operational tools of the AfCFTA, one of them is the AfCFTA Guided Trade Initiative, which enables government level coordination of trade under the AfCFTA. So looking at the integrated customs, the elimination of the tariff barriers in practicality. A number of them has been undertaken across the continent and across various regional blocks. This is how to practically trade under the AfCFTA. I mean, one of the key steps is to understand the AfCFTA and then understand the rules of origin. The rules of origin basically states that the product or service that is being shared must come from the country of origin. So let's say, for instance, you can go and take products from China and rebrand it and say it's made in Africa, we need to understand the genesis and the roots and the source of whatever product or service you are trying to trade under the AfCFTA. So let me quickly look at the protocol. So protocols are basically formal agreements or set of rules and guidelines that govern specific trade agreements. So it's a legally binding document that outlines how we are going to undertake trade on the continent. In this regard, the AfCFTA. So the protocols were negotiated in phases. So there's a phase 1 and then the phase 2. So digital, so we did digital trade in goods, trade in services, dispute settlement, and then customs trade facilitation. That was in the first phase. And in the second phase, we have intellectual property investment, competition policy, digital trade, and then women and youth in trade. So basically, the digital trade falls under the second phase of the protocol. So the protocol was adopted in 2024, last year, February, and the annexes were also adopted this year in January. So this is an attempt to understand the digital economy of the continent and then how to regulate it with a legal binding document which informs the instruction of the protocol on the digital trade. So key takeaways from the digital trade protocol. So one of the key ones is no custom duties on the digital products. So unlike the physical products that we would be trading in, when it comes to digital protocol, digital products, there are no customs duties or tariffs associated with it, which is a very interesting one. And then what we also have, I'll take another key away from one of the key takeaways from the digital trade is also the specific, or let me talk about the data protection and cross-border flows. So Article 20 to 21 addresses this, where we are looking at how can we provide secure, privacy-respecting cross-border data transfer, and then also ensure that personal data protection laws will be harmonized. So across the 54 states of Africa, are the data laws aligned? Are they together? Are they in a form whereby it's not discriminating in some parts, but then it's discriminating in another part? So it's the harmonization of these laws to ensure that we are all having a level playing ground. So in Ghana, we have the ICOMS, which is an integrated customs management. This is me and my team at ICOMS just last month. So it's basically a paperless system, custom system, which enables the flow of goods with reducing human interface. So one of the annexes of the protocol also looks at encouraging African entities to adopt the digital identity of .Africa when they are trading in terms of goods and services. So I'm just doing this a quick comparison of country code top level domain. So for the EU has .eu to the name, and then businesses are encouraged to use .Africa just to increase that African identity, to that Pan-African branding, to encourage identity when it comes to trading under the AfCFTA.
Awesome. Awesome. May I jump in here and then invite Peter to join us in a panel discussion where we will touch base on the specifics when it comes to the protocols and then the opportunities that it presents to us as entrepreneurs and business leaders. Peter is going to be staying here with us. So please, I see a lot of comments coming in. Please feel free, share your reflections, ask questions in the chat, and then we will bring all these questions into the panel discussion. There are amazing people that are actually readily available to also share their insights and experiences so that we delve deeper into how we can bridge, these gaps and then also facilitate trade digitally amongst each other. And I'm glad to know that one of the protocols, based on the first one that he said, that when it comes to digital products, we can freely move it around, right? We can move it around freely. And that's amazing. It moves us nicely into the next side of the conversation now. There's a digital product that is built currently on the Shared Value Africa side, right? We call it the digital ecosystem for trading. You can also call it, I hear this often now, that it's called the LinkedIn for trade, which is an exciting thing, that we can get an indigenous product, African made, a product that has been generated or has been built with the insight of African entrepreneurs. So it is built by entrepreneurs for entrepreneurs on the continent to make sure that we are nicely placed on the digital map, because beyond the borders that we are trying to navigate, with Tiki highlighting, you know, the infrastructure gaps, and then also the confusion, or the for the lack of better words, the hassle, you know, at our borders that just deters people from moving their products into a different country. We can now facilitate trading via a mobile application or a web application at this current phase. So I'm happy to be having my good friend and community champion of Jami Trade, Edgar Oku, who is going to be here to share his insights and then also his work on the Jami side of things. So Jami Trade, let me set the tone now. Jami Trade, Edgar, good to have you here once again.
Thank you.
Awesome. So Jami Trade, as I said earlier, it's a digital ecosystem platform. It's an ecosystem because we are housing, or we have the ambition to house all entrepreneurs and SMEs on the continent on that platform. We want to host them there, where they can learn from each other, interact with each other, and then also solicit insights and then ideas from people or entities that can support them to scale. We'll be putting the Jami Trade link in the chat box pretty soon. My colleagues will help me with that so that you can visit jamitrade.africa, where you can understand what we are seeking to do there. And I'll tell you, when we started the conversation, the back end of this current forum that we are having, Tiki and then one of our panelists who I'm going to be having a very exciting conversation with, Ratsalani and I were, and Tiki, and I'm sure that a couple of us here, I saw George connected here also, Mr. George Entry, and then a few of us here were probably in Johannesburg with us a couple of weeks ago, where we were pleased and also privileged to be partnering with the European Entrepreneurs Association and with partners from the EU to host the EU Africa SME Summit. It was an amazing convening, trust me. It was a place where you could literally see that trading amongst each other, and then the idea of making sure that we own the narrative, right? Tiki gave an exciting and a mind-boggling speech, actually. And she actually set the tone for us in how we can think about growth on the continent. So he said, when we own the narratives actually shape the perceptions, and perceptions influence policies and then investment decisions. So whoever controls the narratives shapes the perceptions that people have. And those perceptions are what our politicians and our leaders, they generate all sort of ideas from those perceptions, and those perceptions inform the policy direction and decisions that they make. And so we as Africans have to own the narrative. And that for me is the heart of the main agenda of Jami Trade, the platform that we are seeking to build, where Africans can own the narrative when it comes to trading amongst them, when it comes to how we move goods and people. Beyond that, we want to also ensure that you and I, as young Africans, can really own the development. Beyond the narrative, we own the development. We channel the energies into development. Now, our development has been, it's quite obvious, our development is being facilitated or managed by foreigners, in all honesty. Yes, an honest platform, we say it as it is. Our development is being facilitated and owned by foreigners. We have to facilitate and own our development. That's the only way we can protect the next generation, after my generation, we can protect them. They can be owners of the land and owners of the development. So Edgar, I know there's a lot going on the JAMI side. Please bring us up to speed, and maybe you can also tell our friends connecting now who you are and what you do on the JAMI trade side. Exciting background that you have there, my brother.
Thank you so much. Good morning, good evening, Jambo, wherever you are connecting us from. This is the African Forum, and it's the Entrepreneurship Forum. It's so exciting. My name is Edgar. I'm from Nairobi, Kenya, and I'm one of the community managers of JAMI Trade. Wow, JAMI Trade is one of the amazing platforms within the continent. It is not even the next. It is the African LinkedIn. A recent study by the African Development Bank found out that 22% of 22% of Africans are actually starting businesses. And that's alarming. It's both alarming and it's good. Because if you want to push the narrative of improving the economies in Africa, it's through business. And youths are starting businesses. Businesses are starting from every part of the African continent. And JAMI Trade is one of the platforms that actually connects businesses in various parts of Africa. It's not an East African thing, it's not a West African thing or South African thing. It's a community of entrepreneurs. And JAMI Trade has been empowering African Trade Network. We've just learned about the the African Free Trade Agreement. It's one of the key things of JAMI Trade. And it's, in fact, if through JAMI Trade is where I learned about the African Trade Network. And we have had a lot of entrepreneurs joining us every month. JAMI Trade has sessions because an entrepreneur who is well empowered will actually know what to do, because we have a lot of entrepreneurs starting businesses in the African continent, but they're not empowered. They're not, they have not gone through the training of how can they understand their businesses, how can they have market access. And JAMI Trade offers that because for the last year, we have had a lot of, let me say, good reports of people networking across the platform. Because right. I've just realized that sometimes to trade within our continent becomes so hard because you don't understand the market in Ghana, you don't understand the market in South Africa. And when you have another entrepreneur who is in Accra, who is in Kumasi, or another entrepreneur who is in Morocco, Rabat, and you connect every day, you chat, I want to venture into this market. How can I learn about it? Because JAMI Trade is about empowering one another. Because as Africa, if we empower each other, we'll be a force that will shift this globe, not only the continent, but will shift this globe. So JAMI Trade is one of the platforms that offers community networking, because we have different strategies. We have different, let me say, sectors. We have the import and export. We have the digital marketing. We have e-commerce. So it's a platform that has different industries altogether, and we want to empower our entrepreneurs and offer that capacity building, offer that market access, and empower every entrepreneur. Like right. Last month we had two amazing sessions. We were talking about the entrepreneurship stories of entrepreneurs, and this offered a very good platform because we normally have every month two sessions. That's the jam sessions.
Called jam sessions, right?
Yes, the jam sessions where entrepreneurs join. They join from all over the continent. We have discussions. It's an open discussions. We are offering that platform where entrepreneurs have that safe space where they can speak to another. Because sometimes I've had experience because I'm an entrepreneur. You don't have that platform where you can actually share your experiences or maybe sometimes the challenges. And from the two sessions you have had, wow, we have had amazing discussions, ideas, and it has just been from one level of development to another.
Well, when is the next session coming up?
We have the next session taking place on the 9th of July, and we'll be talking about communication. We'll be talking about communication because communication cuts across your businesses, it cuts across you personally as an individual, as an entrepreneur. So kindly you can join us in those jam sessions. Every single session runs for an hour. We have even organizations. So Jamii Trade is not about an entrepreneur. Even your organization, like there's an organization in Kenya called Safi Links. They have close to 30 employees and 100 youths that they're empowering. And the CEO said every jam sessions, the staff and the youths have to join the platform. So in case you have an organization that you want to empower your staff members, you want to empower your entrepreneurs, those people you're empowering, Jamii Trade is the best platform, because at the end of the sessions, those your staff members or the people you work with or the entrepreneurs you want to empower, this is a best platform to empower our entrepreneurs in the continent. And we have even recordings, just the content of what we have discussed about. So I'll be sharing the links to our platforms. That we have links on TikTok, we have links on Instagram, we have links on LinkedIn, and also we have a website that we'll be sharing. So in case you have any inquiry about Jamii Trade, and on those platforms, we normally share the jam sessions, the date of the jam sessions. Kindly join us and let's shift the narrative that Africa is a continent that has potential. Africa is a continent that has the possibilities. Africa is a continent that shifts impossibilities into possibilities. Thank you.
Powerful. Wow. Wow. Goosebumps all over my skin now. Shifting possibility into possibilities. It is that generation. I feel like this is the generation, Edka, that we really have to make all these things that we talk about a reality. I feel like it's our generation. And thank you for championing this narrative, for being an advocate for Jamii Trade, and for being a community leader, basically, in how we can mobilize and bring people like you, like-minded people like you and I, to build this platform for intra-Africa trade, connectivity, and then growth. The three things that I'm picking up from our discussion right now that I'm leaving with you are people connecting. Access, collaboration, growth. Access, collaboration, growth. That is the three key things that Jamii Trade stands to do. And we say together, we build a better tomorrow. Please join us on that mission. As Edka said, we'll be putting the links in the chat box for you to follow our pages on social media, and then also to sign up onto the platform. More conversation about this coming up pretty soon. But before then, let's move to our next poll, which is supposed to help us understand how you have purchased or perhaps purchasing things through an African digital platform. Are you using an online store that is made by an African, that you get your product, your services through those platforms? Let us know if you are using that platform, right? There are a number of platforms out there. So curious to also know the frequency of use, right? How many times do you use those platforms? How often do you shop from an African digital marketplace, right? Let us know. The first question, have you ever purchased through an African digital platform or online store? And the next one is, how often do you shop from African digital marketplaces? That we have Jumia, Konga, Killmail. There's also in Ghana, we have the Tonaton shops. We have Tonaton. There's also this online shop. I think Bolt even has those online shopping thing for groceries and all that. There are quite a number of them. Please let us know which ones are you using. Yeah, let's get the results. Awesome. Okay, regularly, 29% of us use this regularly. Once or twice, yeah. I'm like you, I also use them once or twice. Sometimes I also have trust issues, and maybe it's something that we'll have to talk about on the panel. I have trust issues. Sometimes the product comes and then it doesn't fit, and then before you realize I and somebody have issues. So yes, we need that trust on the use of the platform. And a few of us also say no, but I plan to. Thank you for planning to. Let's use them, and then let's build those credibility of those platforms also. It matters. We'll touch base on those sort of underlying issue, cybersecurity and all those conversations, just so that we have trust in the use of African platform. But rest assured, Jamii Trader is security, trust, and then you would really be be interacting with very, very sound people on those platforms, because we do our due diligence. We vet everything we do there. How often do you use the shops from an African digital place? Monthly. I like that. Occasionally, a few times a year. Awesome. Never. Let's rethink that. Hopefully, we'll have people saying that they would use the platform frequently. And then we have the last one. There's no response to it. I run a business on a digital marketplace. There's none of us that run a business on a digital marketplace. Please, it's about time you run a business on Jammy Trade. All right, run a business on Jammy Trade. Run your business on Jammy Trade, basically. So thank you very much for your feedback, for your response to our poll. Exciting. I'm fired up. I'm fired up for the next conversation. That is the panel discussion, and I am honored, blessed to be having with me amazing people that will be discussing and deepening the conversation, or even the ideas or insights that our keynotes shared with us earlier. And our keynote has graciously accepted to also join us on the panel. And so he is going to take the first step, the opening. He's going to set the scene with the panel discussion, specifically with the things that he hasn't touched on. And let me also say that this conversation that we're having, it's a build-up of conversations that we've been having since the beginning of the year. And so the panel discussion currently, if you have been following the African Entrepreneurship Forum, you realize that the way we curate the sessions, it's a continuity and we expand it. And so join us quarterly. I mean, you'll be amazed that we might not wrap up everything, but it feeds into the next discussion that we'll be having. So please keep that in mind. I just have to cue you on those sort of levels. So, because I mean, the conversations are enormous. I mean, the levels of conversations, I mean, the layers that we have to delve into, these are big things. And we might not use 30 minutes to say everything or to share everything. So please help me welcome my panelists, amazing people. We have Margaret Deborah Tremantin. He's a good friend now. We connected on a different platform, and then I'm excited to have her here. Brilliant young lady, British Ghanaian entrepreneur who has a financial background. Actually, she was wearing the hat of an investment manager, moved into now the full gear doing entrepreneurship thing, building a platform called Ito. Ito is an AI-powered digital marketplace. She's going to talk to us more about that pretty soon. Help me also welcome Ratsilani Marumo. He's an export manager with a Southern African company. It's called AfriVet business management service. An export manager there, an accomplished gentleman with over a decade of experience in animal health industry across the sub-Saharan African region. He's a man with a strategy, right, in terms of how we can develop and implement sales and marketing strategy tailored to regional markets, driving business growth and brand presence. These are things we need as entrepreneurs, as SMEs. So he has that knowledge in the space. Great to have you here, Mr. Marumo. Thank you so much. Awesome. And we'll have obviously our keynote, who needs no introduction, joining us there. Thank you so much for accepting to join us, Mr. Adeto. There's one entrepreneur who has to join, but I think he is having challenges with his connectivity. But if he's able to and he's still here with us, John, we'll be so pleased to have you join us, John. John is a Pan-African technologist, a thought leader in digital transformation, and he has a strong focus on finance and cross-border innovation. He's building a platform, an exciting one called Pesa Afrique. And it's a CPI arm called tokenization. He has all this gamification thing going on there. An exciting product. It will be amazing to have him join us. But if it's internet, I mean, this connectivity thing, my people, we need to find a way of solving it. I don't know how we do that, but it's a big thing. Let me start off with quick reflections on connectivity now from Margaret. What do you think about connectivity? It's the game changer. Looking at your product that you are building, perhaps without connectivity, Ito would hustle. It would be like a tortoise running a race with a horse. It won't work.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, for us, you know, ITA is really big on community, and community is bringing people together, people from all parts of Africa and actually also in the West. So we rely on connectivity for our marketplace to work, and that's digitally, and yeah, everyone just coming together. So it's extremely important, and I'm excited to be here today to just discuss how Africa and discuss even what we're building. So yeah, thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for that. All right, so let's delve right into it now. My honorable, amazing, distinguished panelist, Peter, you couldn't wrap up the aspect of the digital trade protocols, and I moved you quickly. Please tell us in a few words the opportunities that the protocols present, right? And maybe you can touch on a few of the protocols that you think are the things that SMEs and entrepreneurs on the platform now have to think about and have to take seriously or integrating it within their business. Yeah, you're muted. Oh, okay, yeah. Okay, go ahead. I think. You're talking, but I can't hear you. Yeah, you're muted. Awesome.
Is it better now?
Yeah.
Fantastic. Please go ahead.
Awesome. So the protocols, I mean, there is the protocol and then there are annexes. So basically two things. The protocols provides the legal framework. The annexes shows us what to do in terms of actions and putting actions to the words, and then how the governments decide to go about the protocols on the digital trade. I mean, it's quite a new area. It used to be unregulated in many parts of Africa, but we are gradually, let me say, gradually catching up. One of the top opportunities for businesses that I can speak to would be how to level or develop African digital platforms that are tailored to local SMEs, women and youth. And so this kind of like is supported by technical and financial resources and incentives. So this is captured in Article 8A and then D of the Protocol on Digital Trade. We can also talk about the use of the AfCFTA adjustment fund, where we're looking at access to funding. So access to funding is dedicated to supporting digital startups, platforms, and then inclusive digital trade activities. And so there are grants, there are onboarding subsidies, digital arts that rebates small businesses. Then also content creation and distribution. So what we want to do and promote under the Protocol on Digital Trade is truly African content, African digital content. So videos, ebooks, podcasts, that are, all of these are eligible for intra-African trade benefits. So this is also captured under Article 3 and then Article 6 of the protocol. So online TV, African music streaming platforms, edtech materials in local languages. I mean, did you know that Africa is home to about 2,500 local languages? And then our ability to ensure that each and every individual African on this continent at least is able to get some content in their local language will go a long way to encourage digital trade and trade across the continent. So quite briefly, this is what and we also encourage, we are also looking at how can we build the .Africa, I mean, instead of .com, instead of organization, all of that, let's shift to .Africa so that we can project that digital identity as African. So just quite briefly, this is what I'll bring to the table. However, beyond the conversation, I'm looking forward to, we run an academy, an Exim Academy, and Jamie Trade, you're doing an amazing job. Kudos. I mean, I'm looking forward to interacting with you further. Edgar and the team, you're doing an amazing job. And keep up the good work for Africa. So we run an Exim Academy which looks at training or meeting the training needs of African startups and businesses. And as keynote today, I'll be giving 7 people the opportunity to enroll on full scholarship. We're starting tomorrow, full scholarship, no application fee, nothing. We're enrolling you for free. It's worth over $180, and we are giving it to you for free. So did I say 180? So 180 is for 4 weeks, and then $700 is for the 12 weeks. So we are enrolling you for
affordable. That's a generous man.
So enrolling you for free, and at the end of the conversation today, we'll select our top 7 people who would be enrolling on the program for us tomorrow. So awesome. Yes, by way
those are the active people, right? The active people that we're going to be selecting. The most active.
Yes, active people. I do have some names in mind already.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much for that. Let me go straight to Mr. Marumo. What are your quick reflections? I mean, based on hearing Peter, and then also work. I mean, tell us in a couple of minutes, quick reflections on the keynotes and some things that perhaps stood out for you that you think we have to take seriously.
Okay, thank you so much, Andrew. As you have seen that I've been in the export business for quite some time, and I have to be honest, we have reached a point where we need to be digital in Africa. It's a market that we have never explored, and it's big globally, and locally in South Africa, it's also big. It's something that we have never ever in African market explored because of probably we are afraid of probably the hackers and so forth, or we are not innovative enough. But to be honest, as Peter have said, we need a platform like this one, African Continental Free Trade, in our own African soil, for the reasons like they are creating an African market, which is what we are looking for. This platform, it's here to make sure that economy is growing. It's here to stimulate job creation. It's here to reduce inequality, eradicate poverty, exactly what we are looking for. It's here to foster socio-economic development. I mean, many other things. It's here to create a platform like for businesses like Jamie. So for me, what was presented by Peter, it's what is more important. It hits at heart when it comes to the businesses that I want to expand into and also make it available to the entire African market.
Thank you so much for those reflections. Maggie, what stood out for you? And how does Ito, positions itself to leverage this platform? Let's inspire some entrepreneurs out there also with what we are seeking to do with Ito.
Yeah, so I'll probably start with what Ito is so everyone knows. So at Ito, we are basically building a digital platform that connects African food entrepreneurs to global consumers. And we do this by leveraging media, building community, and then impact commerce. So a storefront where you can buy and discover African products and services. Now, I think, this has been an amazing summit. The discussions have been amazing. And what I've really taken from it on Ito's side of things is, yes, digital, there's so much opportunity in terms of digital products, digital services, etc. But then at the same time, we must not forget the physical products and services that are needed. And I think if there's any leaders are listening, etc., we still need to do a lot of work when it comes to infrastructure. So at Ito, what we're currently seeing is we're building a network of individuals, SMEs and consumers across Africa and in the diaspora. And we can offer digital products, so think recipes online, think content online, etc. But then we still are seeing demand for physical goods. So someone, let's just say in Cape Town, who sees an Ito recipe, etc., she wants to basically be able to purchase, West African food products and items. So I think long term, you know, as we even in ourselves build our platform, we're really going to need you know, we're really going to need to start thinking about how do we move goods and services across borders effectively, because it's something that's not just affecting, it's a problem that Ito's can see, and it's a problem that needs to be resolved for us to really benefit from the opportunities of digital trade. Because yeah, one thing is discovering online, yeah, and you do have products online, but then actually the second thing is some people want the physical goods. How do we start to move goods across the continent in a smooth way?
Fantastic. Yeah. Thank you for that. And with the challenge that you even highlighted with infrastructure, connecting with digital infrastructure and then also physical infrastructure, right? Currently, we have the trade protocol with us on digital trade. We also have digital trade payment systems, and you know, the Afro-Exim Bank with the AfCFTA and other partners are looking to make sure that the PAPS, the Pan-African Payments System, that gateway is very strong and has a way of, you know, in terms of security features, that would be that infrastructure on which trade, payments, and all that can move through. I'm curious to know what you think specifically when it comes to the movement of your product, and then also the side of the digital infrastructure, security-wise, you know, and also leveraging the trade protocol. Where do you see yourself, you know, as an entrepreneur to take advantage of this new innovative protocol-wise, and also the tools that exist like the PAPS, right, in driving your enterprise? And then I'll go to our other speakers to touch base deeply, actually, in light of the digital infrastructure and then also the fiscal infrastructure challenges. So quick reflections from you on the protocol and then also the payment systems, and then we move to our next speakers.
Yeah, so I guess for Ito, I mean, on the payment system side, we have, in the first phase of us, we actually experienced issues in terms of collecting payments from our consumers in various cities. At the time, we were using a fintech solution called Shopify, and we found that it would block payments from Nigeria, it would block payments from Kenya, especially if the individuals were using MasterCard. Yeah, MasterCard. So what we basically, for Ito, with, you know, the AfCFTA and the digital kind of like protocol, is basically enabled us to think, okay, let's build an infrastructure where we can avoid this, right? So whilst we're not pushing ourselves as being a fintech solution, we will partner with fintech solutions. So when our SMEs come onto our platform, they can basically list their products, and consumers across Africa and in the West will be able to purchase in a very smooth way, and that SME will receive their payment. So I think for us, we definitely see huge opportunities here. I think as African builders, one thing I would want to say is that, you know, it's for us to build our own solutions. And recently, you know, we hear of PayPal coming into, looking to come into Ghana, etc. You know, I am a user of PayPal when I'm in the UK, but for African issues and African problems, I don't think it makes sense for us to back a Western company to basically build the solution for our problems, because ultimately what happens is then the money they make out of the continent will go back to their region. And, you know, when you have companies like Ito, and let's move on more to the fintech solutions in Africa, like your Flutterwave, your Payaza, your PayAngel, which is a company I've invested in, ultimately, you know, these African fintech solutions are now building, you know, payment solutions for businesses across Africa. And then what you can easily see is that they're also creating jobs on the continent, because they have to they're employing local talent, and we're really able to really connect SMEs. So I think, you know, it creates huge opportunities for us to fix some of the problems around payments, around even monetizing online content, etc. But we need to ensure we're building the solutions, and then monetizing in our region, and that's not being moved out of the region. So, I mean, that's my views on everything.
Thank you for that. Let me move to Peter regarding the digital infrastructure and then also the fiscal infrastructure. Of course, those things must work side by side, hand in hand, right? And also quick reflections also with the payments platforms that are supposed to be built so that we actually put all these things hand in hand. What do you see from your end? Are we getting it right? You know, hearing Maggie right now reflecting on the fintech solutions that exist and also looking at PAPs that's coming up or that's being even advocated for from the AfCFTA side of things. Please, any thoughts, reflections on how we as entrepreneurs could leverage this and build the Africa we want?
Yes, so I think Maggie has said a lot, taking a cue from what she said so far. Definitely building our own digital platforms is non-negotiable, looking at the potential it exudes for the continent. In terms of revenue, in terms of catchment area, I mean, look at how PAPS is going to revolutionize online transactions. I make payments in Ghana cedis, and then my colleague in South Africa receives it in South African rand. It's so revolutionary. So even to the extent that when we look back at the one single currency, you realize that PAPS is more like a bridge to that issue of one single African currency. So in my opinion, I don't think we may even pursue the one single currency if we still have PAPS, because countries may still want to hold on to their currency. But I mean, if you can trade in our own currency and then receive remunerations and revenue in our own currency from other parts of Africa, I think it's a big plus for us. It's going to really level the playing ground for businesses. Obviously, businesses need to also position themselves strategically in terms of understanding the digital economy, the digital ecosystem, and how they can migrate from just doing business on the ground to doing businesses on digital platforms, so that they're able to expand the tentacles of their business. Look at, you're not paying customs for any goods, you know, that you are trading online. That's something, if you're looking for it to starting a business. And I've seen even, I mean, during the COVID, a lot of businesses hopped onto online, I mean, they transmogrified into online businesses, you know, trading online and then making offerings of their services online. I mean, we are having this conference today on a digital platform, and it would have been good if it was an African online streaming platform for us, you know. So Africa has a lot of potential. We have a lot of people that can support innovation. So this is a time for us to rise in various markets, in various sectors, in various industries, and utilize digitalization, because I mean, you don't need much to set up a digital infrastructure. Well, of course, there are issues of privacy and cybersecurity, but beyond that, it doesn't really take much to set up a Facebook account and get a Google's location and all of that on your business. So once you are not trading online, you are losing a lot in terms of revenue. So my encouragement to business is that try and understand the digital protocol, strategically position your business online, and then take advantage of the tax cuts and the customs that you don't have to pay under the AfCFTA. Thank you.
I'll allow Mr. Moromo to touch on the fiscal infrastructure side. I think you guys really like the digital infrastructure. I get it, but it feels like there's a need for us to get it right with fiscal infrastructure, because I feel like that's an anchor to making sure that the digital infrastructure actually serves the things that it's positioned to serve. What do you think about that, Mr. Moromo?
Andrew, to be honest, you are correct. The physical part of things, you can do it up until you reach a certain extent, and you can't grow beyond that. There is a lot of competition that is taking place. But when you come to the online one, not many people or not a lot of businesses are taking that into consideration. For an example, there was a time when we were into COVID, people who were looking for products, but due to travel limitations and so forth, they couldn't get them because they were not available on online platforms. So going to the physical stores and so forth, getting the products that you need. Yes, as much as we would go there, but I would prefer getting products at the comfort of my place, sitting at my couch. You just make a payment online. It's real time. You get your product same day in the afternoon or tomorrow morning. That's what I would opt for going forward, because it's an entirely new market, a market that is full of opportunities for more especially for the SMMEs.
Okay, Maggie, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, and I think you know, Africa has a lot of there's just a lot of products and services ready to be traded across countries, and I think what us going online does is it basically means no matter where you are in Africa, you can access goods and services. But if we look at Amazon as a case study, what is Amazon's success? It's the infrastructure, the physical infrastructure they put in place. So even if you go online to, let's just say, order a glass, by 10 p.m., you place your order. The next day by 12 p.m. it's at your house. And I think, you know, when we think about Africa and the digital trade, what we want to see, and for me as a business is, yes, I can kick off the first part of my marketplace as just providing the digital infrastructure for businesses to connect to consumers, but there will come a time where consumers also want more physical products. And if we can get to the stage where you basically click, and then it might not be a day because Africa is a very big continent, but at least within the space of weeks, something you placed an order from Kenya has now reached South Africa. That is, you know, that's just going to be a game changer for us. And I think, as Peter had said earlier, you know, when we think about currencies, if you as a business, you know, sell something to someone in Ghana, in cities, and then you connect it in your South African rand, then ultimately it's a win-win. So there's a lot of work to be done, but it's just exciting because if we can get there, oh my gosh, it would just open up so many doors for SMEs in Africa to just make money and to thrive. And that's ultimately what we want to see. Yeah. Fantastic.
That's absolutely what we want to see. And there's a question in the chat box that I think ties into the currency, the trading, receiving currency, and it sort of signals the idea that, do we actually see digital payment in our everyday business transactions? I mean, in Ghana, cash is still king, and even when there is mobile app, we call them mobile money, Momo, transactions, still find people saying that, no, I want to escape some levies. I want to do this. I want to, and I'm also security-wise, trust. If I should facilitate payments from Ghana to South Africa, what's the assurance that my money will even reach there, or I'll even get my product in time? So please, how can we build some sort of confidence in the ecosystem when it comes to the use of digital currencies and even trading with, payments via platforms in our day-to-day engagement, right? Let me pick the mind of Mr. Marumo, and then maybe Peter and Maggie. Maggie, I know, is on the side of, all full head-on with e-commerce, digital trading, and all. So I'm curious to know what the exports man thinks, because exports now is not the supply chain type of physical movement of goods. Now we are looking at exports through digital platforms, and we want to encourage people to use it, but people are skeptical. People are even not believers. They don't trust the system. So how do we do that? Is there a need for government to do something, or private sector? What do you think?
Peter, Andrew, to be honest, there is a huge potential for intra-African trade, but there are a lot of limitations. And what you are alluding to, it's one of the limitations. But we cannot hold back and fail to do business because we are afraid of issues of things like security. There is now a cyber security, another aspect that we really need to talk about, more especially if you are starting as an SMME. Not only that, but as also the big businesses that has been in business for some time. cybersecurity alone, it comes with benefits. Things like it protects your sensitive data or information. It maintains business operations. It helps you to ensure that a system is available for you for your use. It prevents financial fraud. It also helps you to comply with the local or the regional regulations, more especially when it comes to the issues of finances. But what I'm trying to say is that these are platforms that assures us that whatever that we are involved in, we are protected. But if we don't make use of them, we become vulnerable. We become bare to things like hackers. They get access to our sensitive information so easily. I've got one example, but I won't mention the name. I've got one big client around the SADC region. They were attacked by hackers, I think about 3 years ago. I'm talking about a business that is making close to 40 million USD. For 40 million USD per annum, and it's a small company. And you can tell they were in business for about 3 years. They were growing. That was 3 years ago. These guys, they got access to their system. They took everything and they demanded payment for them to release it back again. And you look standing from outside. There were measures in place that they could have employed to make sure that they protect their data for things like communicating about these things internally, telling people about the phishing that is taking place, things like changing your password regularly, updating your software. You need to be doing that as a business. You need to be thinking of different passwords for all accounts. Those are the basic things. Or the basic measures that every company should be employing to make sure that your data becomes protected, so that your transactions are much easier when it comes to digital. You can think about installing a software that you trust. There are so many things, Andrew, that you can employ to make sure that you are protected when you are doing those online payments and so forth.
Thank you. I'm going to stretch this forward before Peter you step in. There's also that sort of taste and preference issue. I feel like there's a part of an African mind's brain. There's a part of the brain that just trusts the West. Like there's a way that we are hardwired to think that everything coming from the West is safe, and it's great. So that sort of also get people to question a lot of products on the continent, especially when it comes to digital trading. So I'm putting that in there to also say that we in Ghana have a lot of haircuts. And so it's actually deter, I mean, we had that. Now the current administration seems to be more forward-looking, private sector own it, government should be a facilitator and all that. I'm connecting to say that there is that hard wiring with trust the West, and there's also that sort of regulatory landscape or the governance policy landscape that also inhibits or stifles the creativity and the drive of the people to actually use their own products. So Peter, where you sit from the asset side and also working with SMEs, how can we change that or rewire people? I know it's a hard question. Rewire people to think first about protecting themselves. Maybe there's an education that has to be done. Maybe the government has to do something. I don't know. Or from your end, civil society and think tanks should rather move from all this Western narrative. There's, oh, this person is doing this product is doing, and it's all the knowledge that comes from the West. So what do you think would be the best way to navigate this terrain? It feels very uncomfortable.
Yeah. So that's a good one. So taking a cue from what Marumo has said earlier on, we need to protect ourselves online. That is very key as businesses, as individuals. Number two, from the protocol or legal point of view, One of the things the protocol addresses is it now identifies digital transactions as something that is going to enable trade. So in the first negotiation, we didn't have that, but now we have that in the second phase of the implementation, which is, I think, it's a plus. So the protocol is now also adopting emerging technologies like AI, blockchain, and all of that, so that we don't put the cart before the horse. You know, we don't finish building digital infrastructure and then we now have to inculcate AI and blockchain. No, we are doing it together as we go along. So it's very important. And it also seeks to, one of the things that the protocols also looks at is marrying infrastructure with policy. So for instance, we've had issues whereby there's AfCFTA. You can trade across different continents, I mean, different countries, from Ghana to Nigeria, from Morocco to Tanzania, everything. But one of the things that at the government or national level we haven't taken into consideration is that we had an issue. A woman was a pregnant woman. I mean, she had to be detained at the border because she got there and then the border had closed at 6 p.m. So she had to sleep at the border till the next day when the border opens before she continues her journey. If we are running a digital system, I think it would have been, there wouldn't even be the need for human interaction. Once she gets to the border, she's allowed entry, you know, into the next country. There is no need to close the border. No, it's automatic. Once you're able to show a digital passport that you are trading under the AfCFTA, you just swipe it, and then it allows the vehicle to just move. So there's a lot to do. We can do the digital one, but infrastructure also needs to, you know, be invested into and enable trade to move swiftly. Now, back to your question about yes, so that builds trust. So back to your question on trust. So I mean, we have foreign teas. We love foreign teas. We love foreign products. I mean, it's a swag that you have something connected to Europe, US, UK. It's a swag. It's something that we love. We live on it. You know, a lot of us are using iPhones, but how many of you have thought of, you know, using a phone that is made in Africa? Even cars. You know, in Ghana, we have a car producing company called Kantanka. How many Ghanaians, you know, have, but we seem to even open up specialized economic zones for Toyota, for all of these foreign, how do you call it, foreign car producing companies to establish themselves in our country. So taking away revenue from the country. So, I mean, it's a conversation that we need to do. Two things. We need to understand that education is key. People need to, we need to rewire our understanding of how these things work to ensure that we have the Africa that we want for posterity, for our future generation. Because if we don't do that now, it's going to leave, I mean, we won't have control over it in the future. Because now is the time for us to take action. Let's educate our people to understand that this is Africa. Good things can come out of Africa. It is not only a preserve for the West to produce quality. So the second point is quality. As we are preaching that people should patronize Africa, made in Africa goods, made in African services, one of the things that we need to put into consideration is quality, ensuring that the standards and the quality are maintained at the highest level. At the highest level. I mean, I also see a lot of exports. When you look at the fruits and the vegetables that leaves the shores of Africa to Europe and to America, you'll be wondering if they were actually produced in Africa. Because for the African continent, they don't get that quality.
No.
They don't get that quality. I saw cucumbers, tomatoes on one farm that was producing for UK. And I was like, really? We don't have this on the market. But they get the quality because they have raised the standard. It's time for us to raise our standard in Africa to ensure and demand that standard is not compromised. It's very, very key. For us to move forward with this AfCFTA and trade on the continent, a lot of us, we love quality goods. And so we wouldn't fall for mediocre or substandard goods. So as entrepreneurs, always ensure that you are producing the best at the highest level of standard, at par or even higher than what the foreigners, you know, produce. And I mean, people will come to you. I've seen a lot of Ghanaians, a lot of Africans who are doing quality stuff, and people are migrating towards their service because it is quality. So quality sells itself. You don't even need to talk about it. Once you're producing, people will be like, oh, have you tried this alternative? Oh, it's African made. And you'll be taken aback a bit to say, hey, really, is it really Africa? And then you try it and you experience the quality and then you stick with it. So in a nutshell, in our bid to embark on this digital journey of digital integration journey, let's not compromise on quality and standards. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Maggie. I saw you, moving in the chair. It felt like this is what we are doing in Ito, and I'm going to add one layer to it because time is running, and that gets me a bit in an uncomfortable place. But it is what it is. We can't be here. We can't take so much time from you, our audience, also. So let's add content creation to this narrative. There are a lot of content creators on the continent. We sort of specialize in creating skits, let's laugh about things and all that. You are creating content to showcase the quality that Peter and then Mr. Maromo highlighted in terms of how our products are being designed. And with you also, there's a certain sort of a reorientation that you're also trying to give to diaspora. I mean, what the AfriExim currently calls the global Africa, that Africa doesn't only is not only the 54 countries that make up Africa, there's the diaspora also that contribute and make up Africa, so global Africa. How do you think content creation, quality production, marketing, consumer, I don't know, those sort of nice psychological things that perhaps you are integrating within your product to make sure people stay on the platform and know that we have quality here, and bring in the diaspora to also become advocates and ambassadors of the product that we are doing, not just remittances that we're getting from them, right?
Yeah.
Quick highlight or quick reflections on that.
Yeah, so I mean, for me, my background has been, as you mentioned, I worked in banking and I grew up in London until I moved to Ghana last year. And ultimately, I've grown up in an environment where you only part with your money when you have a good product or service in front of you. And if you're not happy with that product, you can go back to that company and request for a refund. That's the level we worked with in the UK. So coming back to Africa, for me, it's like, wow, there's just so much great quality products and services if I just take what's in the food sector. And what we realized is, it's nice to, for that Wachi woman to be selling her Wachi locally, or the fried jam or the juice lady to be doing her juice blends locally. But actually what they're creating is gold. And all that needs to happen now is for them to get that visibility online, for people to discover what they're doing. And at Ito, we've always said that in our customer experience, in our user experience, it's like you're going to discover us online first. And what we want is for you to come online and see high quality content, whether it's recipe videos or lifestyle videos showcasing African food. We feel that's the point, the starting point for our consumers. And then the culture we're embedding in us as an organization, and also with the SMEs that come onto our platform, is every day you wake up, there's another person that also wakes up and is looking to sell goods. What differentiates you from them? Why does someone come to you? And don't take it for granted every time someone comes to purchase from you, because ultimately you give that person a good product, you give them a good service, they're likely to come back. And when you think about sustainable business models, it's that returning customer that you're looking for. So quality and content is important because it draws people into the Ito world. But then with our SMEs, we really are trying to take them away from that relaxed, okay, this is what's available here, take it, to actually know, this is my product. I think I have a great product and I want to showcase my product to the world, and really basically moving, changing people's mindset. And I think this is what's worked for Ito. And I think, we're a very early stage company, but we've been invited to Kenya, we've been invited to Senegal, we've, in the UK, we've been invited to the London Stock Exchange, etc. But because we've started an excellence in content, excellence in the food products we want to put out there has been recognized. It's actually getting us recognized in the right rooms. And I say to the SMEs, it's like, if you have a great product, you really need to understand the importance of how you brand the product and how it's seen online, because that's big business. You know, when you think about, let's look at the cocoa industry, for instance, and what Europe and the US have been able to do with chocolate. They've taken an African commodity in cocoa. They then added value to that and rebranded it. So when you think about Easter, you buy a chocolate egg. When you think about a celebration, you might buy a chocolate cake, etc. And by doing that, they've created billion-dollar industries. And this is with actually an African ingredient. So imagine the SMEs that even Ito's even privileged to see in our pipeline. They have the cocoa. They might not have the resources just yet to be at scale with your Cadbury, but if we basically change their mindset about the way they're thinking about their product online and offline, in the next 10 years, we will actually take a percentage of that billion-dollar confectionery market and shift it back into Africa, where African SMEs now own, because they've got it right with the branding, they've got it right with the content, and they've got it right with the end product. And I think when you think about, when you're facing a consumer, which Ito is, it's not just the product. The media is so important in selling. And that's why when you look at big brands in the West, such as your McDonald's, etc., look at how much is being spent on marketing and the content they produce. And for Africa, that's what we need. And it's really core for what we do at Ito. So the SMEs that come into our world, we really try to take them on board and say, you know, really think about how you're seen online. And so it's extremely important. And I think, you know, if we as Africa start to try and change our mindset when it comes to online content creation and the asset that it is, you would see that actually it opens the market even more in terms of the opportunities that will be available.
That's right.
SME.
That's right.
Thank just to add on what Peter and also Margaret has said, Andrew, let's be honest. What has been available for Africa was coming from the Western. And to make matters worse, they noticed that the market is ripe in Africa. There is a huge demand for their products. They ended up migrating. They brought their businesses closer to where the market is ripe. I mean, you were there in Johannesburg. You heard what the ambassador of Argentina said. He said, we have a long-standing business relationship with the SADC region. You drive around Johannesburg, the car that is the common car, it's VW, and that's correct. He's correct. But I'm in the pharmaceutical industry. I like what the different government is doing in Africa. We've got different levels of regulatory. For you to, I'm currently registering products in Ghana. I'm also registering products in what you call Nigeria. Wow. You cannot register a product in Ghana or in Nigeria or anywhere in Africa, I mean, even in Kenya, if the quality and the standard of that product is not up to par. There is a checklist that they follow, and long before you can register a product, they have to send their team to come and do what we call GMP audit. Your facility has to meet the standard. If it doesn't meet the standard, unfortunately, your product is not going to be registered in those specific areas. So now there is an open door for us to participate or for us to do business in Africa, but we need to make sure that we adhere to quality and also the standard aspect of the business. They have went far ahead to the point where they even request you to send the samples so that they can test them, they meet the standard.
That's right. Thank you. Thank you. I mean, it's a hard stop, actually, but then the insights and the conversation that we've had, it's going to linger. I believe that everyone here on the call, we're still going to ponder over this and then put in the systems to make sure that we are producing quality and we are branding it with a certain standardization in mind. You can think about the ISO certification, the ESG compliance standards. You can think about the AfCFTA itself that has its own trade protocols on products that meet up a certain threshold. There's a certain threshold in there. right? And Peter has been generous to offer us 7 slots for his academy, right? The academy. So I'll allow him to announce this maybe in the chat box of the people that has been selected. So we'll just wrap up with that excitement, right? And please help me celebrate. Let's do some digital claps, show some love to this amazing panelist. It's been thought-provoking. It's been quite a challenging type of conversation. This is an honest conversation that challenges you to do better, right? So thank you so much for making time for this. Thank you, Maggie. Thank you, Mr. Maromo. Thank you, Mr. Adeto. This has been an exciting conversation. And with our entrepreneurs connected, with our audience, please stay connected with Shared Value Africa across all social media platforms. This conversation is going to be made live on YouTube. You'll receive the link pretty soon in your chat box. That's after the conversation. You'll receive the link where you can revisit the conversation and then follow through the insight that has been shared again, right? I will allow Peter, please announce your people in the chat box. And let me pull out our last poll for the day, and then we'll wrap up with that. We want you to join us at the Shared Value Africa side. We run several training courses, several activities, and for us, we are running a freemium model. Very soon, some of these things, you pay for it. So that we'll keep running. But then these are quite, they are products that are developed with you in mind, right? With you in mind. So please let us know which one of this would you like to participate before the end of 2025. With the introduction to shared value, that's where you get to learn about the creating shared value business philosophy or mindset. It's a concept in how you are able to build shared value businesses. Investor readiness training is where you get to ask yourself, am I investor ready? There are various criteria, various metrics that we use, and we are happy to be doing that with the 3 Arrows investment network, which is part of the Alpha Mundi Foundation, I think. There's quite exciting things also on the investor readiness workshop where you get to learn how to knock on the right doors, right? It's not every door that is a door that you knock on. As SMEs, you need to know which door to knock on. There's a stage of development and you must get it right. So Maggie, maybe you may find this exciting, the investor readiness training on the shared value side, where you get to also interface with investors who are domiciled on the continent. They actually have their funds here on the continent, right? So you get to have access to such funding opportunity. And the Purpose Playbook training, I was part of the first cohort for the Purpose Playbook training. It is where I had to redesign what I'm doing as a business leader. You know, why do I exist in the first place? And purpose is at the heart of everything we do. We are purpose-oriented people. So we say profit with purpose. Can't just make astronomical profit without having purpose in mind. Your business may not stand the test of time because people would only trade with you when they see that you are driven by purpose and there is value. Your value propositions are enshrouded or binded by a certain great narrative. So if you want to join all of the above, also please feel free to say that. That'll be it. Let's see the results. How many people want to join some of the sessions? I've said a lot to encourage you to join us. So thank you. Let's see the result. I'm curious to know who is what. People want money. I like that. And then 43% of us want to join everything. There's no interest. Maybe you guys are busy. 5 weeks seems to be a lot. I can imagine. 5 weeks of Purpose Playbook training. You are busy people. But hey, those who said all of the above, please be very active on Shared Value pages, and then follow us, sign up for it. And also in your email, sign up to Shared Value newsletters where we have, I think there's this exciting weekly events coming up and all that. So please, let's stay connected. Thank you once again, Margaret, Deborah Chermanting, it's part of her name, co-founder of Ito, Mr. Ratsalani Marumo, thank you, export strategist and working with AfriVet. Many thanks for joining us for this. Mr. Peter Adeto, my very own brother from Ghana, and from a different mother. I'm grateful for your insights and opportunities that you're sharing with our people on the call, and for those insightful, the insightful keynote address. Many, many thanks to everyone. We'll connect again in the next installment of the African Entrepreneurship Forum. Keep the fire burning. Bye-bye. Enjoy your holiday or your weekend. I said holiday. It's a holiday in Ghana actually today. Today is it's the Republic. We moved the holiday to today. So it's Republic Day today actually. So many thanks and enjoy your weekend. And holiday to my Ghanaian people also. Enjoy your holiday. Bye-bye.
Bye everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye, everyone.
Bye, everyone, and thank you.
Thank you.